your next steps that you've tried?
My next steps, I went and did, um, my next step was probably a few years later because I gave up.
Yeah.
I gained it all back plus more. So
You
when
gained that 100 pounds back?
I,
Plus more?
I gained up to 400 pounds at that time because I gave up for a long
Is
time.
that the highest weight you've ever gotten?
At 400, no. 400 is not my highest. So I didn't know what else to do. And a friend of mine had sleeve surgery. So I researched the sleeve surgery. She looked so good, so happy. I decided I would try that. My insurance don't pay for it, but I went through all the steps and I thought I had to have $4,000 to do it with my insurance because there was another surgery, which on this diet I don't think I need now, where they fix because of my acid reflux. So they put that on my insurance to justify the weight loss.
Justify the surgery for your insurance.
Yeah, because my insurance wouldn't pay for the sleeve.
Yeah.
So I went to the nutritionist. I got all the way down to the shakes they want you before you.
The liquid diet?
It was 2 days before the surgery. 2 days before the surgery, I went to the hospital to pay all the money. The hospital wanted me to come down, and I was supposed to pay $4,000, and found out I needed $8,000. 4,000,
Total?
4,000 for the doctor's office, 4,000 for the hospital stay. So in 2 days, I couldn't come up with $4,000. On top of the same thing, we decided to sell our house and move from Texas to Arkansas to be closer to my daughter.
Hey.
But the job didn't work out there for now because my husband's a plumber. And so we came back to Texas, and that's when a little more depression set in.
Do you wish that you would have gotten the surgery?
I always
Or
said
glad
a
that
long
you-
time ago, I prayed in my chair, I wanted to do it myself. I prayed to God, I wanted to do this weight loss on my own. But those surgeries are a help.
Yeah, they're cool.
But it doesn't mean it's going to stay if you don't learn new behaviors. But I was down to wanting to use the tool because I knew I could go beyond that if I just had some help. So, but it didn't work out. But in my chair years ago, I prayed to God that I wanted to do this myself to show me the way. I didn't know it'd take 20 years, but and I'm starting out again. But here it is. Also, uh, I I said all that right. So I got notes. It's all right. Next. I learned keto about 8 years ago because I was ready to lose weight again. I knew the old stuff that I didn't work. All that exercise. I was older, and every time I had bad days, got into one piece of sugar, I would blow it for days, weeks, months. Because when I was at Curves, I realized like the withdrawal from the sugar. If I did drugs, I think it would be drugs. Sugar is drugs.
Technically, the science behind it is that it releases a happy chemical in your brain. And
Yeah.
your brain likes that happy chemical.
Until you get it out of your body,
So it makes you crave it.
till you get that, especially if you're a sugar addict where you can't control, like if I wanted a bag of candy. My husband can eat a piece of candy, put it away for 2 weeks. If I got a bag of candy or two, I would eat all two in one night. That's how bad it spiked me. If I got chips, all of a sudden, like if I got Funyuns, by the night they were gone. But I didn't care about eating food, meat. I didn't like meat, and I guess uh, So anyway, to the question, when did you learn of keto? It was 8 years ago on my own, videos and people. Some made, when I was watching the videos, I found a low carb, I don't, diet doctor? I don't remember the name. And I watched his videos and I learned about low carb, higher protein.
Yeah.
And I even went to a conference and have a picture with him.
I remember that.
And
With
yeah,
you.
he's so skinny and tall. I was like,
You're
but I
so
was doing well on that. But I was still having sweet stuff.
Mhm.
Whether it was make keto recipes, keto everything, and the
Keto
taste,
candy.
the taste of the sugar throws me so bad, throws me off. And if I get thrown off, I let it go for more than a day, and that's when it can turn into months. The keto stuff still triggers me.
Mhm.
Now, some people can do that keto and lose very well and have more carbs, but my body is sensitive and I can't do it. So
any types of sweets trigger you.
yeah, like even like meal in my when I have meal in my and I'm only eating meat and have meal, it triggers the cravings for carbs. That's why I had to get out of them. Once in a while, I still have a little meal, just yeah, maybe one drink a day instead of all my water. I drink
With eating keto, do you feel restricted with what you can eat, or do you actually get satisfied with what you eat?
on keto. I'm not there yet.
That's a question.
On keto, I still craved.
Mhm.
Once I moved into ketovore and carnivore and got more carbs out of my system, I don't crave it. Like the last few days, I've stopped the meal, and it's so much easier than me drinking water after water with that in there.
Yeah.
So I drink unsweet tea and water. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't have to worry about that. So I got off my notes. So where was I? So on keto, I was doing up to 20 grams of net carbs.
What's that from?
I suggest when you go on keto to do 20 grams of total carbs.
What's net carbs?
Net carbs is where you take your carbs minus fiber. Some people can do that with no problem. But for best keto, I believe take the 20 total. And I probably would have done a little better, but I always use net carbs. So even though they said use net carbs, I never, they said use gross carbs, but I never did that. Um, and I lost some weight, feeling better, but fell off from stress. When I stress, I eat the junk food. Um, and then I just eat more as I stress. And I
then
lost
do you
my
stress
blood.
out because you're gaining weight,
Then I stress out.
and it turns into an endless cycle.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so at this point, I know keto low carb was my diet I needed. At that point, I knew I didn't want to go back to any other diets. I knew keto was working for me. I just had to stick through the bad days. So I knew it was working for me, maybe not as fast as I wanted, but I still had some cravings and didn't know. So uh, so all along I was falling and starting over. I never changed, like I said, I never changed the diet because I knew that was for me. Uh, then after I moved, I didn't have the sleep surgery. I went to Arkansas. After a year being in Arkansas and our job,
You were in the middle of nowhere.
we came home, got a new house out of the area where I went to church, out of the area where my friends were. Had to start over with no friends, no church, and it's taking. I've been here 5 or 6 years, and I still haven't had a stable church or I did make a friend and she moved away.
Do you think you don't have?
So when I made that friend and she moved away, I got depressed again. So living in this new house, I've been so depressed. I didn't even want it. But I gotta get me out here. I haven't found the church
You
earlier.
need a support system.
Yeah. I found one. I just gotta get going and I have no clothes, so
Is that what's stopping
I've
you
been
from
putting
going
it
to
off to
church?
go try that new church. Yeah. No clothes and probably don't want to start my at 450 pounds. So, but I have it written down. Plus, I had no clothes. I was just wearing house clothes, staining them all up, and didn't go nowhere. So
Well, then also we had the lockdown.
yeah, and then we had
COVID.
COVID,
Mm-hmm.
so we stayed home. That's when I
Church
started.
was through videos.
Yeah, so when COVID came, I was staying home more. I wasn't going to church. I was depressed because I was here alone. My husband worked out of town still. So
Yeah.
sometimes I was all alone. And I ate that. I ate it. So, like I said, I got up to 450 pounds. At that time, I was thinking I felt older than my 92-year-old grandmother.
Really?
I could barely. Anyway, I'll go to next question.
Okay. What do you think were some of the health problems that contributed? What were some of the health problems that was from your weight?
The health problems from my weight, I can't give you everyone's because I didn't go to the doctor. Because at 450 pounds, I didn't want to go to the doctor.
Why not?
Probably what's wrong if I go, if you know what I mean? Like fear of what's wrong, if something's wrong. No, I didn't go to the doctor. And I didn't even go to the doctor until like 2 months after I started.
Not going to the doctor is the same as not looking in the mirror.
So what happened was that got me to go to the doctor, that got me back on track. I guess I'll stick to my notes, but really it started with my husband going to hospital. He had very bad pain. He's always been healthy.
What health issues did you have?
I'll answer that.
Or symptoms?
Well, okay, let me stick to the notes. So, my left leg started swelling. My left foot. My knees start, like, walking, my knees hurt really bad. And, for the swelling in my leg, the only relief was to lay down at least 8 hours to get some of the water off. And then it was getting harder to walk. The swelling was going up toward my knee higher. It got worse when I traveled. I don't know. Then I had bad acid reflux, so I had to train myself to sleep on my back because it's the only way it wouldn't come up. But the thing is, if I ate too close to bedtime, sometimes even 6 o'clock, I would wake up like I'm drowning, and I would have to go in the bathroom and let it come up, which I think did some damage to my teeth.